Deadpool and Wolverine is directed by Sean Levy and stars Ryan Reynolds, Hugh Jackman, Emma Corrin, and among others. And this is the third film in the Deadpool franchise, and is also the latest entry in that is now integrated into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. In this story, it deals where Wade Wilson pretty much gets tasked by the TVA that if you've seen the show Loki, you kind of know who they are. They basically are the time cops that go into having to stop those that are messing with the time period and everything through the multiverse. And it's a little bit more complicated than that. For those of you who haven't seen Loki, it's definitely one to kind of check on that. It's definitely one to kind of do research on that. But basically, he gets in trouble he gets confronted by the TVA, and he gets a chance to pretty much find a way to go back in time to try to save his world that's having issues in his universe. And along the way, it gets into some other stuff where he has to go into different timelines trying to find the Wolverine to recruit Wolverine in order to save his timeline. Now, here's a little backstory. Now, this movie was directed by Sean Levy, who has actually made some other movies that I really enjoyed over the years, from the first Chew by the Dozen. He also did Free Guy from a couple years ago with Ryan Reynolds as well. And in this, what can I say about Deadpool? I mean, it's one of my favorite comic book characters after I've seen the first film from 2016, and it sparked new grounds from having to bring that kind of breaking fourth wall type of raunchy approach with comic book movies. And I think that with Ryan Reynolds was not only the perfect choice to play him from the beginning, but it's just really funny that I haven't read the comics. From what I also heard from the comic books is that there's actually a point in there where he actually says that Ryan Reynolds actually looks like him. So it was always just a dream come true to see him finally get the project going, because after they really did it poorly with his introduction to X-Men Origins Wolverine, it just showed that they had to do the right task of following the source material. And so when the first Deadpool movie came out, I was blown away how funny it was and how gory they could get away with. And then the second one I thought was pretty good as well. It had some issues here and there that wasn't quite as great as the first one, but I still did enjoy the second one a lot, and I thought that it still did some really cool stuff with introducing new characters and everything, and pushing the grounds with a lot more, brutality, and trying to keep the humor going. And while it may not be as funny as the first one, I was still overall pleased. And so with this one, this was actually something that was actually going on for a while, trying to get this one made, because, well, when basically Disney got bought out Fox in a few years ago, it was one of those kind of franchises that I was really on the fence of what they were going to do with, because when I heard that they were, trying to do other superhero films later on the road, like with Blade and all that, I kind of wondered how that was going to work, especially with the property like this being R-rated. And they did at least kept their word for a long time with this trying to be a movie that was always going to be R-rated from the beginning. And, it also had to go through countless delays due to some stuff that was going on over the years. And it also had got pushed back last year due to the strikes and stuff. And so I was glad it finally came out, because upon seeing it, wow, I can say I was really blown away by this movie. Another movie's been out for a couple weeks already, but I was on vacation, and that's when I got to watch it last week. And getting a chance to finally see it on an IMAX 3D screen was even more impressive. And so, to get my pros out of the way, I thought the cast in this were all phenomenal. What can I say about Ryan Reynolds? He still owns the character of Deadpool to a T. Both him and Hugh Jackman have so much chemistry together in this, and it's great seeing Hugh Jackman coming back in this one, because it really seemed like for a long period that we were pretty much done seeing him in the X-Men movies, especially after his triumphant end of the road in Logan, and that really put him on a great send-off. And so I was really surprised that he was still able to maintain that kind of very straightforward type of sense of stuff that we know from Logan. Even though he's a variant in this one, he still keeps the very seriousness down. But it also just, his camaraderie with Reynolds in this is just not only so funny, but it's just, there's just so much great, it really has the equivalent of a road trip type movie, where you see two guys that don't like each other and stuff, and they have to work together eventually and stuff like that. It really keeps it so much going with these two, and they really, they just have it all. They just really bring so much of their energy and everything to the screen together. And what can I say about the rest of the cast? I thought it was great seeing the rest of the other ones that came back from the other films come back, especially Monica playing Vanessa again. You also have, well, it's pretty given in the trailers. You get to see Daphne coming back as X-23 was great. And then some of the other surprises that I won't reveal because, well, I know the movie's been out already for a while, but I still don't want to give spoilers away for those that haven't seen it. But some of the surprise cameos and stuff and other people that show up, I thought was not only a dream come true seeing them, but also it was really a great send-off to, well, some other films that came before this one that I thought giving them justice that we didn't get to see, that I thought was really deserving in that regard. And so the ones that come in were great, and then on top of that, just the humor itself is really funny and laugh out loud, and a lot of the stuff they get away with, I was really surprised, because there's a lot of stuff that, Deadpool winks at the camera and stuff like that, doing a lot of fourth wall breaking, and a lot of the funny, raunchy stuff that you see him, like, talking about, especially, well, let's just say that he's talking about pegging, for example. It's really funny the way he plays it off, and Reynolds can do no wrong with this. He really knows the character to the T, and the way that he's able to also have other stuff that comes into the play with his character, I think really had some really genuine moments that work, especially with him and Wolverine. And then it does get into some really kind of serious stuff later on that I was getting into as well, this character. And, it's just also, I was really surprised with a lot of the gore they get away with this, especially in a lot of scenes where you're seeing heads getting chopped off, you're seeing a lot of, like, brutality, especially in the opening scene. And then, the action's top notch with everyone getting to shine in their own regard, and I also really appreciate that they finally give Wolverine the yellow suit that he wanted to wear, that he's known for in the comics, and he does wear his mask, but I'm not going to spoil when that happens. But it was great, and the soundtrack was a lot of fun too. Hearing some cool songs I enjoyed hearing. Well, another good praise I will say is Emma Corrin. I thought the villain they have in this was really interesting the way it played out, but there's some writing aspects to the villain to Cassandra in this that I felt like they really could have done a lot more better with. But that's kind of also the issue I have with the other two films, because every film seems like they kind of lack substance when it kind of lacks some stuff with the writing when it comes to the villains in this, because they're just there to be the pawn for Deadpool to pretty much kind of fuck around with and trying to go from point A to point B with. But I thought Emma did a great job. There's more I can go into detail, but it's just really one of those movies that's very straightforward, and it knows what it's trying to do with setting up some stuff with some. It knows what it's trying to do with doing a lot of referential stuff here and there that you've seen in other films, or Easter eggs and cameos and stuff. And it's just a very straightforward type of comedy that's a lot more simpler in terms of the story they're going with in this. So if I had to get any kind of little minor cons, we'll have to say that the villain I thought could have been a little bit more well written, because there's not really a whole lot of focus with her. It seems like there's more layers that we could have really explored a lot more with, and it also feels like there's some other stuff they really could have explored a lot better with in certain regard. And not every joke lands here and there, but it still worked to its advantage. And I feel like they really could have explored some stuff here and there that I think it was a missed opportunity in one aspect with the whole kind of time traveling aspect, because I'm not going to go into too much detail, but if you've seen the way that the things unfold at the end of Deadpool 2, it would have been a lot more interesting if they would have showed that some of the consequences that they could have. It was a missed opportunity of the stuff that they set up with at the end of Deadpool 2 that could have played into more effect into this one. But I get it. This was a lot more of a straight up comedy that they were kind of going with and stuff. So I get that was really more the intention of not really taking it too serious, but it could have been a little bit better. It could have been written better to its advantage to explore more of the stuff with the multiverse angle, because this one stands on its own, where it's not really like much of an MCU film as is more of a Deadpool film. It just happens to be in the MCU universe where there's references here and there on some stuff, but it's more about like Wade's journey trying to basically save his universe and stuff like that. I just feel like there's more stuff that they could have explored more with the multiverse angle to like really flesh some things out. But overall though, despite those minor cons I had with it, I still had a really great time with this film. And it's definitely something that I want to see more with if they get to do R-rated stuff like this in the future, whether it's, since they talked about doing that reboot with Blade, it'd be nice to see a reboot of that being hard R-rated like this one and stuff, or just other ones down the line. And so with that, I'm going to give the movie a low phenomenal grade on the Film Phreeks meter. So for those of you who have also seen Deadpool and Wolverine, and also the other films in the Deadpool series, let me know in the comments below what you thought about it, and thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next review. I'll see you later.